Greetings of the day. This is you Ganesh Naidu, Assistant Professor in CS-based department. Today, I would like to discuss on introduction part of database management system. DBMS is a collection of programs that enables users to create and maintain database. Database is a collection of related data. Data is in the form of tables. So DBMS is a concept which came in 1960s. Previous to that, we are having file systems. So we are having so many drawbacks with file systems. Then only we entered into database systems. So what are the drawbacks of file systems? Why we came to database management system? That we will discuss now. Okay, file system versus DBMS. From file system to DBMS, what are the main changes? What are the file system drawbacks? Next, what are DBMS advantages? Why we came to database system? That we will discuss today. So from file system to DBMS, so problems with the file processing systems are inconsistent data, inflexibility of data, limited to data sharing, poor enforcement of standards, excessive program maintenance. These all are the different drawbacks of the file systems. So previously we are having C, C++, Java. These are different programming languages, you know. So these all are like related to file systems. Before to database systems also, we store data in the form of files. Using files, we are having main drawback is that files are in different format. Text files, these programming files are word files, different files. Data is in the different formats. Integrate into similar format and recognizing the data. So, and retrieving the data, storing the data is somewhat clumsy, and retrieving the data is also difficult. Okay, for that purpose only we came for database management system. Database management system is an efficient way of data storing. Why? Because data is stored in the form of tables. In tables you will store the data, means that is more efficient, and anybody can understand easily. Anybody can access the data easily. For viewing purpose also, we can easily identify the data. So maintaining the data is also easy. That's why we came into database systems. Main DBMS benefits are minimal data redundancy. Main advantage of DBMS is redundancy elimination. So we are having several concepts in DBMS. Using that, you can minimize the data redundancy. Data redundancy can be minimized. The repetition of data can be eliminated. DBMS is having some elegant theory. Using that elegant theory, we will reduce the redundant data from the databases. In file system, we are not having such type of concept to eliminate the redundancy. That is the main difference between the file system and database systems. Later, DBMS is having more benefits, consistency of data. So before the data is in which state, after the some changes also, data is in the same state. Your changes will be saved, except that remaining all data which you are having that is in the same state. Integration of data, combining the data is also easy. In databases, you are having the data in the form of that means in the form of tables. Now that's why you are storing the data in the form of tables. That is very easy to store, and access the data is easy. There is no need of any confusion, and no need of any explanation to the layman also. So it is easily understandable. It just you are storing the data in the form of table like this. So for example, it is student data. So student roll number, student name, student age, next student marks. Like that you will store the data. So this is very easy. In files also you can store the data in the same way using C file. But the problem is in C programming, you are having structures and unions. Using structures and unions also, you can store the data. So, but that is not that much efficient. Every time you need to create a file, create an object. And using that object, you have to access the data, enter the data. That is a too hectic process. Compared to that, simply creating a table like this. So, and entering data one row by row 1, 2, 3, and so on. Thousands of rows you can enter the data at a time. That is very easy compared to file system. That's why from file systems we move to database systems. we are having so many advantages of database systems, not only storing purpose and not only maintenance view purpose. Yeah, sharing of the data, ease of application development, uniform security, privacy, integrity controls. Data accessibility and responsiveness. So data independence, reduced program maintenance. So we are having different benefits are there using DBMS. So we will go through all these later. Just I will differentiate file system and DBMS. In each and every row, we will differentiate for taking a aspect for each and every aspect how file systems are differentiated to a database management system that we will see. A file system is a software that manages and organizes the files in a storage medium. It controls how data is stored and retrieved. So file system is simply the software that how the data is stored and retrieved, that can be, it represents. DBMS is a software application. It is used to accessing the data, creating the data, and effectively retrieving the data, managing the data. So these all can be done efficiently than compared with the file systems. Next, file system provides the details of data representation and storage of data. So DBMS gives an abstract view of data that hides the details. So DBMS also stores the data, but the data stores in the hiding format, abstraction. There is data abstraction format. So if you if you have in need of student data, so then you can go through student table, then you can get the student inner details. If you need project related data, you have to go to the project table. Then you can undergo through project details, project budget, project cost. That means cost or budget or project name, project details. All the things you can detail know when you go into the table. So that like a student related. For example, for this student case study only, you are having many tables. Each and every table, when you went through, you are having in detail view of data. So rather that it is just abstract of data, student management system that consists of student table, next extracurricular activities table, next project table, next placements related information, that is a placement table. Like that you are having many tables. When you enter into the table, you can get the in detailed information which you want. There is for outer sake, just you can maintain simply index. That is a number of tables, how you are maintaining, how they connected to each other. When you enter into table, then you can get the detailed view of the data. Storing and retrieving the data cannot be done efficiently in a file system. File system is having the drawback. Structures and unions concepts you can use and you can store the data. So, but every row you have to enter again and again. You have to write the code again and again. You have to enter the same data, same variables. You have to assign the data. So this is somewhat complex process and lengthy process compared to database systems. In database systems, we are having efficient data entry system, just creating the table, inserting the values into the table, how many number of rows you want. You can just you can just enter the data using the insert command. So that is how simple it is compared with the file system. It does not offer data recovery process. So data recovery process is not there. During system crashes or power failure, any problem occurs, at that time you cannot retrieve the data efficiently in file system. Whereas in DBMS you are having backup recovery for data in data. That is nothing but a backup can be stored, so that you will not lose the data during any crash or power failure or any problem. You will not lose the data. The file system does not have a crash recovery mechanism. So DBMS provides a crash recovery mechanism. So that is the main difference when we went through. File system, protecting a file system is very difficult. File system is not having security system. Security mechanisms are not there in file system except password. Using password, you can provide somewhat security to the file system. For any file, you can create a password. Using that password only, you can provide the security to the file system. But that password is hacker means then you cannot get the security for the file. Okay, So the DBMS offers good protection mechanism. There are protection methods, security mechanisms, security methods are there. Those all you are having in DBMS. In a file management system, the redundancy of data is greater. Okay, so the file management system, as we already discussed, redundancy, repetition of data is there. So that is the main problem. For example, in bank accounts, for example, bank related information, it is in the file, check file, you are having the some data that is repeated in the in other file, that is the savings account information, or like that in any other file, the same data will be repeated. Okay, the say customers file, again the same data will be repeated, like that in the different files the same data will be repeated. That is the redundancy of the data, that is somewhat makes confusion to the users while retrieving the data. It is not consistent also, so repeated data, so that create a problem, because if you want to retrieve the data of a person, due to this repetition, you will get the data, other data. So that is the problem, main problem with the file system. The redundancy of the data is low in database management systems. Repeated data is low. We are having powerful theory, as already discussed, that is normal form normalization. That is a step-by-step process of reducing the redundancy in the tables. In tables, you can reduce the redundancy in a step-by-step manner. So using all normal forms, finally you can get the tables which are having no redundancy, no repeated data. So the next, inconsistency is higher in file system. So consistency, the main problem of the file system. The data is not consistent in file system, whereas in DBMS we are having consistency. That is the main property of the database management system. So once you store the data, any changes occurred, okay, any changes you done to the database, whatever changes you can apply on the database, even it is more consistent, the changes which you applied will not affect the previous state of the database. The before the changes, the database in which state, after your changes also, the database will not be corrupt, the database in the same state. That consistency can be maintained in the database systems, whereas that consistency missed in the file systems. The file system offers less security, as already discussed. Database offer high security mechanisms. File system allows to store the data as isolated data files and entities. So database system stores the data as well as defined constraints and interrelation. In DBMS, we are having the beautiful thing, that is we can maintain the data in isolation, and also these database tables are interrelated to each other. We can maintain separately and we can integrate the tables. Both we can do in database systems. Where you need the data single, just you can create the table single. Okay, so you can use the data. Where you want to integrate, you can integrate the table to any number of tables. Next, a file system is a software that manages and organizes storage medium. It controls the data that we discussed already. Not provide support for complicated transactions. So we cannot expect support for complicated transactions in file systems. Whereas it is easy to implement complicated transactions. So in DBMS, complicated transactions means bank transactions. For example, if we have seen in nowadays we are having many transactions due to this phone pay or Google Pay. Daily we are having lakhs of transactions. These many transactions, dealing with the transactions in file systems, it is very difficult, tedious task. In database systems, it is easier. Day-to-day transactions we can store in the database easily, so we can retrieve the data easily. For example, in supermarkets also, the daily the data can be entered. Okay, lakhs of entries can be done daily. These are all data can be stored in database. Day-to-day transactions. For day-to-day transactions, we can use the database very efficiently. The centralization process is hard in file systems. file management systems. That is centralization. The all combining the files, combining all files and together segregating the files and distributing the files is difficult in real time. But somewhat the centralization is easy to achieve in the database systems. Okay, you can easily integrate all the tables, so you can easily integrate the database systems easily. It does not offer backup and recovery of the data if it is lost. Once data is lost, we are not having backup system, recovery system. That's why we will lose the data when we are using file systems. DBMS provides backup and recovery of data even if it is lost. So in DBMS we are having the powerful backup mechanism, powerful recovery techniques are there. Using that recovery methods, techniques, we can retrieve the data, we can recover the data easily. There is no efficient query processing in file system. In file system we are not having querying system. For retrieving the data we are not having efficient query system. Whereas in DBMS we are having powerful querying system, powerful commands are there. Structured query language, SQL, structured query language is there. In that language we are having several commands like select, from, where, group by, having, like these commands. Using these commands you can retrieve the data easily from the large database. From the multiple tables you can retrieve the data easily, efficiently at a single instance. That can be done efficiently to the database systems. These systems does not offer concurrency. So in file systems, we are not having concurrency concept. Parallelly, we cannot execute multiple transactions in multiple files at a time. So whereas in DBMS we are having that facility, that is we can do the serializable transactions also and concurrent transactions also we can do. Now at a time multiple transactions we can perform. When in one transaction it has to wait some time, the system will go through the second transaction. Meanwhile, again, the first transaction request came, again it will go to first transaction, like that. So from transaction to transaction, the switching is easy thing in database system, whereas the switching mechanism is not there in file system. These are the main differences among this file systems and DBMS. Mainly the file system is having many more drawbacks. We are having too many drawbacks with the file systems. Those are drawbacks we rectified using database systems up to some extent. That's why we are using database system now itself for in real time purpose in banks, offices, our colleges, universities, hospitals, wherever. In all places, we are using databases efficiently nowadays. Why? Because it is having this much security and maintaining is easy. So, and the database administration is also easy. These all are the benefits of the database management system when compared with the file management system. This is about the first main thing why we came to database management system. So why we are learning the subject database management systems, means this is the reason. Though we are having file systems previously, C++, Java files, whatever different files, Word document files, text files, we are having different files, but we came to database systems. Why? Because this is the main reason. So in file systems, you are having these many drawbacks. These all drawbacks are rectified in database systems. In database systems, you are having the properties like atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. Like these properties, you are having many powerful mechanisms, powerful methods to eliminate the repetition of data. So these all together finally conclude that the database system is needed when we already have the file system for efficient retrieval of the data, storage of the data, management of the data. Databases are very more useful than compared with the file systems. That's why we came to database management systems. That's it. In the next topic, we will see the database design steps.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.